Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my AM reading for Friday, September 18th, 2020. In my last video, I said I probably wouldn't make it to any Friday reads this month, but look at me go. I think this will hopefully be a little bit of a quick update because it is Erev Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the Jewish New Year, and in coronavirus fashion, I have to go sit in front of my TV to broadcast some services soon. So, I'd be on the metro otherwise if I were going there in person like any other year. But anyway, it has been a tricky start to the month, I think. And part of the reason, frankly, is this book, which I recently finished. This is A Highly Unlikely Scenario, or a NEETSA Pizza Employee's Guide to Saving the World by Rachel Cantor. It is a Jewish-inspired science fiction book. I thought about reviewing it separately as part of a Sci-Fi September individual review, but the truth is I don't think I liked the novel enough or glomped onto enough of the novel to, do an in-depth review of any kind. This is kind of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy from a Jewish perspective, kind of. I don't know. At the beginning, it has all the trappings of standard sort of dystopian fare, where we have a near future where fast food corporations rule the earth, and a lot of the dystopian fiction of late would go into rather serious commentary, I think, about corporate overreach and the dangers of living your lives while sort of letting go of humanity and, privileging other things like greed and money or what have you. But that's not really where this goes. This is a highly philosophical novel which dips back into the past as much as it stays in the near future. We follow this character named Leonard. He works as customer service of a sort for NEETSA Pizza. Because this is, a dystopian future and fast food joints are incredibly powerful, it's not what we might think of as customer service. It's like a whole philosophy behind it, like a mathematical philosophy about how to talk to people, and he talks to them in a white room. But he starts getting messages from none other than Marco Polo from the 13th century. So it's just quite bizarre, and Leonard apparently helps fashion Marco Polo's travel writings of his day to make sure that he put in what he was supposed to and left out what he should leave out, I guess. And they became quite close friends because I guess Leonard really needed a friend. He's been a bit of a shut-in ever since the death of his grandfather. He lives with near his sister and his nephew who he's close with, and his sister is this secret neo-Maoist, revolutionary trying to save the world from the fast food joints. But anyway, and Leonard looks after Felix a little, and that's most of his life until Marco Polo starts calling. And once Leonard fixes his problem for him, he starts getting calls from a 12th century rabbi, Isaac the Blind, who looks and sounds just like his grandfather. I think it's not completely rando. I think it goes into Kabbalah and philosophy about reincarnation or stuff. I mean, here's the thing, about me wanting to read Jewish sci-fi, but when it comes to putting Kabbalah in it, I'm more than a novice. Anyway, Leonard has more things to do to save the world. First, he has to meet his future wife, who is a librarian who's obsessed with the Voynich document, which is a real-life document that's supposed to be untranslatable and perhaps is some inspiration for a highly philosophical sci-fi like this. So he meets up with Sally, and they get together, and meanwhile, out in the streets, there's all-out war between the chipmunk police force and all of the people working for and against the fast food companies. Time freezes. Felix, who happens to be a prophet and can see things, and is sent back to the 13th century, and Sally and Leonard have to follow him to rescue Felix and also to stop something happening between one of the Jewish false messiahs going to try to meet the Pope at a specific time that, it would be bad if it happened during that time. Oh, part of the problem is, I think, if I read it all like in like a day, I would remember more of it at once and even enjoy it more than I am now. But I was distracted and not all that invested, I guess, so I don't remember a lot of the minute details. This is definitely a niche book that a lot of people wouldn't like. In part, it reminded me of the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer, which is sci-fi based on the Enlightenment, and I just don't think I like philosophy enough to put it in my sci-fi. I did like all of the random Jewish references that I did get. That was pretty fun. But in terms of anything character developmentally, no, nothing. Probably a lot of fun tidbits for people who care about philosophy and the Kabbalah. But other than that, I can see why this probably is an acquired taste that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily pick up. But I think there's a niche of geeks out there, at least, or who pretend to be, at least, with their reviews in the professional world that seem to like this book. And I gotta give her props for doing a lot of research into Kabbalah and history. And I also really liked how, to me, the dystopian future and, the 12th century were equally alien. So it was kind of fun to see that interplay. So that was fun. So anyway, that's me ending on a positive note about this book, but I'll finally just be putting it down and moving on. I should say I usually don't like prologues, sometimes I do, but it has been drilled into me by writing classes that starting with a prologue means you're starting your story in the wrong place. And that's kind of how I feel about this. We're talking randomly about a bunch of random characters I have no connection to yet. And I feel like, it's there so that I could read the prologue again at the end, which means the prologue should be at the end. And really, in most circumstances, you should just start where the action starts. The next book I could talk about is The Rules of Civility by Amor Towles, which just won my page 112 tag that I did a couple days ago. I'll link it below, where I read 3 random books off of my to-be-read shelf. I read page 112. I thought this one was the strongest. But so far I've only read the prologue, and I'm nitpicky about that. I don't like prologues very much. It's sort of been, I guess I kind of get it. This is historical fiction. We have all this lush detail about, artistic and political life in the 60s in New York and the 30s. I don't know. But, just based off of just reading this prologue, I'm just like, I'm grappling at something where they're mostly just teasing me with hints about things that will be important. And I'm hoping that the actual story will be more interesting. And that's what I'll be talking about next week. I still have high hopes that this will be a good book, just like a book Olive says it is. Hopefully I'll be getting through it soon, because next on my docket I have Women Talking by Miriam Toews. This is a book I am reading for the BookTube prize, and I have to submit my ballot by the end of the month. And I have this one and one more left to read. This book, I believe, is about a group of women who had been sexually assaulted in their community, and they come together to try and talk out what to do. I actually talked my mom and auntie's book club into reading this book, so we'll be discussing it as well in October, so that'll be exciting. I feel a little bad because I stole this book from my mother, although technically she stole it from me. It was a gift for me that she said, "Oh, that sounds interesting, I'll take it." And then I'm like, "Oh, I have to read this for the BookTube prize, I want it back." And I could have probably gotten an ebook of it, but for, aesthetic BookTube reasons, I thought I wanted an actual copy of the book, so here it is. Anyway, that's all I will be saying about this book, because the BookTube prize, we're supposed to be mum about the judging while we're judging. I am judging the fiction round for the final round of the BookTube prize. We've been whittling down lists of fiction and nonfiction all year. And we're down to 6 titles in fiction and 6 titles in nonfiction. And in October, Robert at Barter Horde should be announcing the 2 winners if certain judges stay on the ball and read and get their ballots in on time. Also, I'll link to more information about the BookTube prize down below. Time is starting to feel a little more finite for me for the first time in a long time, because I recently heard back from my employer. About a month ago, they contacted me because they were trying for a new contract at the library I work at, and they pegged me to be a possible project manager. So they submitted their application, and just the other day they won the contract, and now I am on to be the project manager. And they want to start this contract ASAP, although in coronavirus times we don't know really what that means. I guess, I don't know. The jobs I do at my company so far, I can't work remotely. It would mean having to go into the library, and it's just uncertain right now technically when I'd be allowed to do that. But I know the people I'm working for want this contract to get off the ground quickly. So I have a remote meeting about it on Monday. I'm very excited. My first coronavirus work meeting other than just checking in with the top brass at my employment just to say, hey everybody, we're all still alive, but this will be much more specifically about my job. Anyway, I guess I'm a little nutty and anxious and excited about all of this, but that's what's on my plate. I may be returning to work imminently after a 6-month furlough. This is the world we live in. But while I still have some time to myself, I do hope to be getting through some of these reading projects for the BookTube Prize and other things on my docket that I can talk about here. I also hope to be back in the very near future to do a couple of Authors Answer videos, so stay tuned. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Lashana Tova to any of the Jews watching, and I'll see you next time.